Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Dave Sands. Welcome to the Food Origins podcast. I'll be talking to people about their unique stories with food. And as a quick reminder, the restaurants and gear talked about on each episode can be found on my website, foodoriginspodcast.com. I appreciate your support. Thanks for listening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Food Origins podcast. Today, my guests are Monica Wong and Quynh Nguyen. They are the co-founders of Little Green Cyclo. I met Monica and Quynh back in the day when they started in 2010 with their first Vietnamese food truck, serving delicious, healthy meals all over the Bay Area. Monica grew up on the East Coast, where her family owned one of the first Chinese restaurants in downtown Boston. Monica worked many years in finance before then deciding to get back in the food business. Quynh grew up in Saigon, Vietnam, and spent most of her childhood playing table tennis for her country's national team. After moving to the States, working various jobs, and then opening her own Cajun restaurant in San Jose, California. After that, Quynh then joined forces with Monica, and they started Little Green Cyclo. After 13 years of business, Monica and Quynh have created not only one of the original OG Vietnamese food trucks in San Francisco Bay Area, but now have a bistro restaurant in Brisbane, California, and their own brand of award-winning, ready-to-drink Vietnamese coffee. I really enjoyed sitting down with Monica and Quynh after being a customer for so many years, having many great meals, and seeing them grow so much over the years. And it was great to have them share their story and appreciate them for all their support in my journey as well. Enjoy this episode. Thanks for listening. All right, we're rolling. I'm here on location in Brisbane, California at Little Green Cyclo with the co-founders.
Oh, sorry. It's Cyclo.
Cyclo, sorry. There you go. I've been corrected. Little Green Cyclo. I should know that too.
It's okay.
And I'm here with, and that's Monica Wong speaking first up on the mic. And we have Quynh Nguyen. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you having me here, and I appreciate you guys for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for coming by, and we're excited to do this.
Yeah, and it's been kind of a long time thing. We've known each other pretty much almost since you guys started.
Yeah, back in 2010, that's when we started.
Yeah, which is amazing. And let's just right off the bat, why don't you, Monica, you can start. Just introduce yourself. Sure. Tell us where you're from, where you grew up, all that good stuff.
Sure. So I'm Monica Wong. I'm the co-founder of Little Green Cyclo. So I was born in Hong Kong, came to the States when I was 4. I grew up in Boston, kindergarten through college. I was actually an econ major. I spent 20 years in finance. So my family has a background in food and beverage. So we had the first Chinese restaurant in downtown Boston. But I wasn't really interested in food back then. I was much more interested in anything else. But after 20 years, it kind of came full circle and decided, I want to have my own business and I want to do something that I know I will really enjoy. I mean, I did enjoy finance and it was great. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lasted 20 years. But similar to other people who took the finance track, you end up changing careers at some point. And for me, it was 20 years in. So I had semi-retired from finance and then moved out from New York to California. That's when I met Quynh, and that's when we started Little Green Cyclo.
Awesome. That's a nice synopsis. And we'll get into a little more details into like growing up and stuff. But Quynh, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us where you're from and how you got here.
Hi, my name is Quynh Nguyen, and I was born in Saigon, Vietnam. And I came to the U.S. when I was 18 years old. I was in IT before come to changed my whole career, go into food business. Then how should I talk?
Well, so you skipped over that you. So I read, and I know this from reading about you. You skipped over that you were on the national team
Yeah,
for tennis.
table tennis.
Just skip that over, Just tell us a little bit about that, and then let's get into kind of what was it like growing up in Saigon, and what did you eat as a kid? That's kind of what we're here to talk about, and why don't you tell us about that?
Oh yeah. I was in ping pong, table tennis team. When I was 9, I started ping pong when I was 9. The reason was I wasn't a healthy kid when I was growing up. So I got sick all the time. So my family is like, oh, pick your sport. You need to start doing some sports. So I picked ping pong. So I started when I was 9, and I think I played tournament right away, and I got picked into the team. And from that, I started playing professionally, practice and training, tournament. And the good thing about playing ping pong and being professional and after work, it's like work to us, because I got paid when I was 9 when I got in the team. On the team, and then we got paid as salary. So after practice, we always go around and eat street food and drink and have dessert and eat, breakfast. We before practice we get together and eat breakfast. But in Vietnam, breakfast we eat pho, banh mi, and sticky rice and sometimes rice. So that's kind of food we eat all day, but breakfast like normally pho and noodle soup, even though Vietnam is really hot, but I don't know why we eat
It's like
all hot
reverse
stuff.
Yeah, sweat it out.
Yeah, we don't eat salad.
Yeah.
Not a lot of salad.
Yeah.
We just eat pho. And then when we travel around the country, we got to eat so many different foods. So I'm so very familiar with the food of all the regions and everywhere.
Do you have some favorites that you want to highlight?
I think the food in Hoi An was I love the most. It have a lot of flavor, clean and different. They have pho. They have that's noodles called what is gao lao. It's almost like ramen. Japanese ramen, but it's very unique. The flavor you have to taste it. It's really it's hard to describe. It's so balanced, so good, sweet, sour, spicy, and salty. But it's all come together. It's beautiful.
Sounds good. And now, most of the pho that you had, is it mostly beef or is it all kinds?
We have beef and mostly beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly beef.
But this time when we were in Vietnam, we had oxtail pho,
Oh, right.
chicken
Oxtail
pho. But
Yeah.
back then it was probably predominantly beef.
We hardly eat chicken pho back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think what's cool, and Monica's mentioning it, is that, and I've talked to you guys before, you guys would go back to Vietnam to explore and kind of do some R&D, some research and development for recipes. But before we get into how you guys started, but yeah, tell us about, what's that like going back and then exploring it as you're older and now you understand a lot more. And what were you looking for when you guys go over there, besides obviously tasting home?
Well, every year, there's some new food. The kids, mostly the kids, they create salad with rice paper salad. I didn't have that when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of dishes is new. But
yeah, there's more twists.
yeah.
Not necessarily fusion, but just different twists.
But I feel like I like it better. The taste better because not so Saigon known for sweet. Everything like they make it so sweet. But now when I go back, everything it's beautiful. It's not like
More balanced.
balanced. Yeah.
Nice.
Not a lot of MSG and very fresh. it's better. I think it's better. I love that everything is so small, so I can eat more
The
stuff.
portions are
The
tiny.
portions.
Small bites. Yeah.
Not even
Well,
small
it's-
bite. It's like
yeah.
pho, just small bowl pho. Here we have like the bowl. I never can finish it.
So
Mm.
small here, it's similar to an extra large there.
Okay. Interesting. So portion size, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you need 5 orders, but I can.
Yeah. I mean, I like enjoying. I love pho, so it's good. And if you don't, I haven't been to Vietnam, so
Oh, you haven't been to Vietnam?
not yet. So I don't know. But Monica, why don't you talk about what you ate growing up a little bit? It's gonna be very different.
Yeah, it is definitely very different. So, the East Coast,
Yeah.
if you're talking about Asian food, when I came over, early 70s, you couldn't get anything. It was all Americanized Chinese food. So we're talking about
Did you work in your family's restaurant at all when you were a kid? Of course,
yeah,
right? I was gonna ask
absolutely.
like how that was. What was that
Yeah.
like?
Well, yeah. So with the Chinese food in Boston or anywhere back east, from early 70s, 80s on, it was really Americanized Chinese food where you'd be getting lobster sauce or egg foo young or chicken fingers, spare ribs, poo platters, you name it.
Chow mein.
Yeah, chow mein, fried
The
rice.
base kind of.
Yeah. So not real Chinese food. But it was really hard for you to even get the necessary ingredients to be able to make the kind of food that you would eat if you were in Hong Kong, because you just couldn't find it in the supermarkets. I mean, now it's different. Now you have Ranch 99, you have H Mart, K Market. I mean, you have all these different
Yeah, we've got-
huge markets where you can get any ingredient, any seasoning, any fresh herbs or vegetables that you need, any grain. But back then, you really couldn't get anything at all. So, yeah, so the restaurants that my family had, they were Americanized Chinese restaurants where we did, serve chicken fingers. And it's good, but it's just not authentic Chinese
Right.
food. It's not something that my family would be serving us at home.
Yeah.
And in terms of working at your family's restaurant, I mean, that goes without saying. Every kid has to work in their family's restaurant.
Yeah.
It was just expected of you. So I started out bussing tables, and then I would cashier, and then, takeout. You would help wrap or take orders and fulfill the takeout orders. And then we also had sit-down restaurants. So I was a hostess. I was a waitress. The only thing I didn't do is I never cooked. So it was a good thing because I didn't know how to cook.
Okay.
Yeah, so they basically kept me out of the kitchen. To this day, I still don't cook. So Quinn is the one who comes up with all of the recipes for everything, for all of the food, for all of the drinks. I'm really just the taster. I'm the one who says, okay, this is perfect, and this is something we should put on the menu, or otherwise, we need to work on this or that. But it's also because I did grow up in food, and two, I love eating. It doesn't matter if it's a hole in the wall or if it's fine dining. And because I've lived in Boston, New York, San Francisco, LA, and I've traveled pretty much all over Asia, Europe, and everywhere. So I do have a pretty good idea of what something should taste like, and what, something that I find, if I will like it, I would think it's probably, a fair amount of other people would also like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I took Quinn to New York, we went to all the hole in the walls, and we went to the East Village, and but then we also went to Midtown and had all the prefix. So there's just a whole gamut of dining options, right, everywhere. But yeah, so I guess back to what you were asking me earlier. Yes, I did definitely work in my family's restaurant,
Yeah.
and I definitely, because of the fact that I grew up in a family that, spent so much time in the restaurant business, that I didn't want anything to do with it growing
Yeah.
up. My family, they could not take vacation because they're always working. And, you really are always there. If it's a family-run business, you want to, be watching over everything, managing, probably micromanaging really everything.
Yeah.
So, and that's really different from how Quinn and I run the business. And we'll go into that later, but yeah.
Nice. And then Quinn, tell us playing tennis for the national team, traveling all over, and then tell us how that transition happened where you decided to come to the U.S. and what was that like? And, that couldn't be easy to just turn around and say, I'm coming to the U.S. and why did you do it? And then tell us how you got into cooking.
I didn't want to come here.
Okay.
She was having way too much fun in Vietnam.
Yeah, because when we travel,
right.
We travel with the whole team, and
I believe
then, I got pay, got money.
Mm-hmm.
It was so fun, but my family, my dad was here, and my grandparents, and my aunt gonna come here with my uncle and my aunt here, so that's why the whole family have to go. So that's why I have to leave Vietnam.
Okay.
So as soon as I got here, it was tough because I didn't speak.
A little closer. Yeah.
I didn't speak
There
the
we go.
language. So I was like almost 18. I already went straight to high school without knowing the language was tough. I didn't play ping pong. I played a couple of tournaments, but then here is so different. We don't get training. We don't get pay. So that's why I don't get to play.
Yeah. So you stopped playing at that point?
Yeah, I stopped playing at that point.
I mean,
it is work. I mean,
it is work,
all
but
day.
like to come, basically coming from where you're treated as a professional athlete to now you're just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
As a side thing, and school and stuff.
Stuff.
And having to learn a new language.
New language,
new location.
Life and
were you on the East Coast or were you?
I was here the whole time.
You're in California.
Yeah. I resigned. Yeah, I came here, my family in Sunnyvale, California the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I decided to just stop playing ping pong. I have to get educations. Because in Vietnam, I didn't have to go to school. I mean, I work. I played full time. I was homeschool. So here, I'm like, I can't do that. I couldn't. I won't be able to live that life anymore. So that was the past. So I finished high school and then college and then work full time. Graduate, work as IT. But then I love eating and I love when I didn't cook when I was growing up, but when you have to move out, live alone, and you have to cook, that's when I call my aunt. I call everybody. It's like, oh, how you do this stuff, and then that when I remember, okay, that have to taste like that. The flavor that I got when I got to travel and try the food in Vietnam. I couldn't find a lot of good, Vietnamese food like the way I remember when I was in Vietnam. So that when I decided to move back to the Bay Area and open my first restaurant. But my first restaurant in San Jose 20 years ago.
Is that the Cajun restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gumbo Jumbo?
Yes.
Oh, you good memory.
I researched too.
Okay.
Educated guess. But like, yeah, tell us about that. Like, so you went from, trying to source ingredients to cook for yourself and to kind of remember home. And then, of course, get those same flavors. And then you turn around and you're making a Cajun.
Food. Because
Did you get some training in between that or?
Google trained me.
Oh, wow. Self-taught.
Yeah, I love spicy and I love crawfish. Crawfish is so popular in the Vietnamese community. So when I live in LA, there's crawfish popular restaurant open up and everybody go there and my friends went there and we was like, we have to open one in San Jose because there was nothing in San Jose. That's when I decided to move back to San Jose and train on Google.
Wow. So you just looked up recipes, started
Yes,
testing everything out.
testing everything out. And I got really lucky when I was a kid. My family always, on the weekend, they always take me to eat kind of like high-end food and different food. So I know the flavor in by heart. I don't know how did I get that. So I didn't cook, but then when I start looking to research cooking, I can like put together this flavor and that flavor. I'm like, oh, it might work that way. So I'm just trying to put together stuff and yeah. And
I mean, that's nice because that means your palate was trained. Is kind of what I say. You know, because you know what everything tastes like, and that's that's only comes from experience. You know, when you need to adjust more salt, less sweet, more sweet, spicy, or you also start to get to know like what ingredients are going to make it, you know, taste a little more herbs, or you know, and you know we have all come to know that like salt is like super important because it can really change a dish completely.
Yeah.
So that's neat. So then, so tell us how long you worked at the Cajun restaurant, and then what happened after that.
So before owning Gumbo Jumbo, I never worked in the restaurant in my life. So I kind of have to learn from A to Z, like learn from everything, how to set up a restaurant, how to set up the kitchens and everything. So I learned by working there for 4 years. Like it was so hard. I have no idea why I choose that path, but it was fun. Yeah, it was fun, but it was really hard in like in that 4 years that I have to learn running a restaurant and dealing with customer, working in the environment I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah, you didn't grow up with it. And then, you know, that kind of transition to Monica. Why don't you tell us how you guys met and how you guys connected and decided on, you know, Little Green Cyclo?
Yeah, sure. So actually, when I graduated and started in finance, I left the East Coast and I was in LA, and that's because I really didn't like the cold weather. So I ended up taking a job in LA.
Okay.
So I was there for about 7 years, and then I was in the Bay Area for 3 years. So I was working at an asset management firm, and then after that's when I jumped over to the buy side and was a portfolio manager for about 10 years in New York. So when I came back to the Bay Area, I was still debating on whether I should come back to San Francisco or to LA. I have a lot of friends in the Bay Area, so I was, you know, doing different things in the Bay Area, just trying to get reacclimated, having been on the East Coast for 10 years. And then that's when I met Quynh. So her business partner was a friend of mine, and she kept telling me that, oh, you know, I have this restaurant, it's really good in San Jose, come down and try it. And so finally I did. And when I tried the food, I was like, wow, this is really, really good food. And this is after I just came back from New York, and I had traveled to Asia for like a few months. I was doing some volunteer work, and I was in China, Hong Kong, Taiwan. So I was eating a lot of really, really good food already. And then I come back to San Jose, and I was like, wow, this is really good. And I don't even like Cajun food, but I was like, oh, this is good. And then Quynh also for that day had made some Vietnamese dishes as well. I was like, wow, she's a really good chef. And so that's how we met. And then they decided to not continue on with Gumbo Jumbo. And I knew I wanted to start a business. I knew I wanted to do something in food. And I also knew from all the years of experience watching my family run our restaurant business that in order to do something in food, you really need someone who is a chef, right? So I couldn't do it alone, and I wouldn't look for a partner who had similar skills to mine. I knew for a fact that you have to have a chef if you're going to start a food business. So yeah, that's how we ended up starting with the partnership. And then at that time, food trucks were not popular at all. I mean, we're still talking about the regular taco trucks that were around. So we decided, okay, let's do something a little different where we can actually bring the food to the customers.
Yeah.
And that was when Twitter was first, coming online, and so we could post about where you could find the food truck.
Yeah.
So that made a big difference, social media, and letting followers like yourself find us. Otherwise, you would never know where we were.
Yeah,
right?
and that it's super helpful. And then just being able to put out what you guys have, and then
Yeah.
of course, like, hey, we're here today, and it's in kind of real time. So
Yes. Yeah.
you could post it 3 hours before you show up, and then
Right.
people know, like, oh, okay, they're going to be at the corner of blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
your guys were all over San Francisco. And my
Yes.
intro to you guys was seeing the truck, and I was like, oh, there's this bright green truck,
yeah.
kind of lime greens, kind of all these different greens.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, Vietnamese food
Yeah.
on a truck.
Right.
And then I told Monica right away, like as soon as I had either the chicken over rice,
Yeah.
like the nine spice
Extra
chicken,
Yeah.
or the banh mi, and I was like, whoa, this is good, like really good, like restaurant good, like. And so I was like, I'll be back,
Yeah, and you have been many years for many,
many
years.
years, and I appreciate like you guys doing that. But yeah, like I said, they started in 2010.
Yeah.
I always like calling you guys the OGs in the game.
Yeah.
You guys, you really are, because
Yeah.
you were
We started
around-
with Chairman.
Chairman
Senior
Bao,
Sisig.
Senior Sig. These
Yeah.
are the OGs in the game.
Right.
We put
Hurry
these
up
guys
now.
Yeah,
Curry Up now,
Yeah.
which those guys have gone on to open brick and mortars.
yeah, quite a few.
Quite a few. Like
Yeah.
That's it.
Senior Sig as well. They've
yeah.
got a place in the
The-
Mission.
Yeah.
In the ferry building now.
Yeah. So
it's fantastic.
um
Yeah, and Off the Grid had just started when we
Right.
started.
yeah.
So, yeah, they've changed the landscape definitely for the whole food truck industry. And, I think it was just the perfect timing for food trucks with social media, with Square allowing us to take mobile payments. Whereas before, almost all the food trucks only accepted cash because you really could not set up an entire POS on your truck. You just
Yeah.
didn't have the power or the space or the Wi-Fi ability. So when Square came along and you just put a little reader into your phone, actually into your iPad at first, I think.
Yeah.
And you were able to start taking orders. It really made a big difference.
It's definitely a game changer.
Yeah. So in the name earlier, we've corrected probably thousands of people. So Cyclo is French really for pedicab. So you'll still find these Cyclos throughout Vietnam. They're called tuk-tuks in Thailand. So yeah, we wanted to have that in our name because Vietnamese cuisine is very much inspired by French cuisine because the French colonized Vietnam for so many years. So let's break down the banh mi, right? So the banh mi, you have a French baguette, you have pâté, all of which is from the French. Right? Then of course, there's the coffee, which we'll go into later. But the French were the ones who brought over the coffee seeds to start planting coffee in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like you have, and then the rest of the elements were there already, right? With the pickles and different meats. And
Yeah. So all the
and developed-
herbs, of course, that's from Vietnamese cuisine
and pickle,
itself.
we use a lot of pickle because we didn't have
Refrigeration.
refrigerations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything pickles. Same with condensed milk. We don't have fresh milk. We didn't have fresh milk.
Yeah, for the coffee.
Just access to fresh ingredients.
Yes.
And so developing the menu. So obviously Quinn is, essential for that. How did you guys come up with your initial menu? And then obviously you guys have tried a ton of different things since.
Yes.
And, just talk about the menu and tell us, what you started with, and then we'll get into everything else.
Yeah, sure.
I started with the really big menu that have all the street food like yogurt and nem nướng, which is the spring roll with the meat patty
yeah.
and the stuff. But we only ran that for a week, and we was like, no, if we don't have a restaurant, there's no way you can make.
Yeah,
So
there's some limitations with the food truck.
Sure.
yeah, because I had restaurants, so I'm like, oh, this easy, right? I can just do that. But then if you only have the truck, yeah. So we cut everything. That's when we're like, okay, just banh mi. We know we can do that good, and then we have vermicelli.
We've
I
always had
love
vermicelli and banh mi. Yeah.
Vermicelli, it's very simple ingredient, but at home it take the home cook. It's like at home you have to buy so much. Like vermicelli, you have to buy all the herbs. You have to make the fish sauce. You have to pickle
the carrots,
all that.
yeah.
Same with banh mi. So then before the restaurant, when I go to restaurant, I always order vermicelli because
Yeah,
I'm like
me too.
so much work when you wanna do vermicelli at home, and of course we
Garlic
have rice,
noodles.
garlic noodle. Yeah, garlic
Yeah.
noodle. I already served that at Gumbo
At
Jumbo
the restaurant.
at the
Yeah.
restaurant.
Oh, so you had that in mind already. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when those came on, I was like, oh, here we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we served that already.
And spring rolls. Then
And
we changed over
yeah.
to spring rolls.
And spring roll. But of course, when you want a good food, you have to start with good ingredients. So
Mhm.
that's when come to sourcing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for a food truck, it's not common to place so much of an emphasis on sourcing. So with us, from the get-go, sourcing, we knew we wanted, to be able to be transparent. So let people know. So it was a little different back then. It was definitely something we were fine if our competitors wanted to go ahead and get, the ingredients from where we were getting them, but that was okay with us because we just literally posted on our truck. Okay, so we're sourcing the noodles from West Coast noodles. We're sourcing, the bread from Tan Hung Bakery or wherever. We're getting everything
Right.
from. But it's all local and it's all fresh. And then in terms of chicken, we're definitely the first to ever use like Mary's, air chilled, free range chicken. And people didn't even know what air chilled meant back then. And I thought I knew a lot about, products, but it's interesting. We've learned so much more over the years because people are like, oh, what does it mean, air chilled? Well, it was really simple. If you go into a supermarket and you buy chicken, there's always some water in that styrofoam plastic wrapped chicken. But Mary's was the first company ever to hang the chicken up in a room and air dry it so that they didn't have to dunk it in bleach water. So, I mean, you wouldn't expect your chicken to be dunked in bleach water, right?
Yeah.
But after they, process it, that's one quick way to clean it, sanitize it, and then sell it to you.
Yeah.
So your chicken literally sits in bleach water until you cook it. If you back then, but a lot of
A lot of them do it.
still
Yeah.
do it, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So if you
there's
didn't know-
options now. Yeah,
Now you know.
yeah,
Gross.
yeah. So we've educated a lot of our customers over the years as to why we source from the farms or the suppliers that we do source from. And with Quinn and myself, it's always been, okay, if we're going to put something on the menu, if we're going to serve it, we're going to make sure that we're proud to serve that particular item, and it would be something that we would be proud to serve to our family and friends. So that's really the bar
Yeah.
of, okay, if something goes on the menu, if we're going to serve it, we're going to be, we know we're 100% certain that it's something that we're proud to serve.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And also the customers are more and more getting educated on and they want to know where their food comes from as well.
Yeah.
Why don't you highlight some of those partners, some of those places that you get your ingredients from?
Yeah, so now, so we use a combination. It's either the Mary's or Jadori.
Okay.
And great programs for both. So we use Snake River Farm, Wagyu beef. So Quinn has done all these amazing Wagyu beef hot dog specials too. Yeah.
Banh mi hot dog.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. a little bit elevated for hot dogs. But yeah, it's good for happy hour and all. Like, we do that for a lot of the special events.
Okay.
Organic
Yeah.
sprout tofu.
Yeah, organic sprouted tofu. Yeah. And then for the drinks too, for the Akeda matcha, they're great. We love them. They're in Southern California. Yeah, it's a lot of different.
Yeah, and then like I'll go down the list that you have on your website. You have Red Blossom Tea.
Yes.
American Homestead.
Yeah, for the pork.
The pork.
Yeah.
Wildwood.
Yeah, that's
For
the sprouted tofu. The organic.
That's the tofu.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
organic farm tofu.
And then you mentioned Jidori and then Teance. Is it Teance?
Oh, yep, tea. Yeah.
Yeah. So very cool. And then, something that, and Quynh can talk about some of the recipes, but also like coffee is a huge thing with you guys now.
Yes.
And that kind of came out of, okay, we're going to provide, and my wife, we like to tease each other about this, but like if you go to Vietnam, it's just coffee. It's not Vietnamese coffee. But over here,
everywhere.
it's Vietnamese coffee. You just call it coffee over there. But why don't you explain to us the coffee program? You guys have expanded it since it was just one item, one iced coffee back in the day. And, how did you guys develop what you have now?
Yeah, so with the coffee, that was one of the first items that we had on the menu. So earlier you had asked what were we serving. We gave you the list for the food.
Yeah.
But the Vietnamese iced coffee had always been on the menu. And interestingly enough, I never drank coffee, not even one cup.
Oh.
And this is, you're talking about someone who used to be a trader. I had to wake up at 4 a.m. and I still didn't drink coffee.
I'm with you. If you know my old job, working in the department, I never drank until I worked at that job too. And my dad was laughing when he found out I started drinking coffee. He was like, when did that start? I go, it started when I had to work 10 plus hours and didn't know the schedule. And so you started drinking coffee, and then
I still didn't. Well, even when we were serving it, I still didn't drink it. So it was the only item that I didn't taste test because I would be of no help because I didn't really know what coffee should taste like.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because it was from lack of trying. I had tried it many times in different countries and different styles, different blends, but it always tasted like burnt water.
I mean, it kind of is, right? It's roasted beans thrown through some water, filtered through some water.
Yeah.
But Quynh, why don't you explain, like, starting to serve the Vietnamese coffee and then developing other, you guys have all these other cool drinks too, your lemonades and everything else. But tell us about the coffee and how you got started with that.
Well, the coffee back then, 10, 12 years ago, it's so hard to source the good bean. I mean, there's none. There was none. So in Vietnam, even now, 80% of people used to the dirty coffee, which is low-grade coffee beans, and then we mix with corn and a whole bunch of stuff to make foam. And,
Right.
We didn't have clean coffee like today, the third wave coffee, that specialty coffee like now. So people in Vietnam still prefer the old style coffee. So, and even in Vietnam, there's more traditional coffee shop than the specialty coffee. Only the young people now start to really willing to try that type of coffee, like the coffee we're serving right now. But back then, I couldn't source the good coffee. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to serve whatever I can source. But then 3 years ago,
2019,
I started looking more and more into coffee and have some friends that do coffee and some connections. So I started do more research and start talking to the coffee farms, and around the country to find the best coffee that we can
in Vietnam.
So we can source and have good relationship with.
And you guys offer, so that's something that that's pretty new to you guys, is you guys have your own beans and you guys have 3 blends, right?
Yeah, so the green beans, we actually source those directly from these small family farms in Vietnam, and they're in the Central Highlands, which is very similar to Napa in terms of the climate, the soil, the temperature. And coffee cherries really actually are so much like wine grapes.
Wine grapes.
Yeah, where our coffee cherries are actually 100% hand-picked. So there's a big difference. So most of the larger farms, it'll be machine-picked. And then other farms will do this sort of hand stripping where you take the coffee vine and then you just strip all of the beans on there, whether or not all of them are ripe or not. So the farms we work with, actually, they take a lot of time and effort to only pick the coffee cherries that are ripe, which means if not all of them are ripe for that particular tree, they need to go back the next day or next week to pick it. So it's a lot more effort on their part, but what we're finding now is like what Quinn had mentioned earlier, that there's a lot more of a focus on quality over quantity. So back then, when we started looking into sourcing coffee beans from Vietnam, we couldn't find the farms that were more interested in quality. Yeah. And that's because, these farmers, they need to make a living. If the demand wasn't there, then they're not going to change. But the good thing now also is that the government understands the need for higher quality specialty coffee beans. So they have been helping out the farmers. So educating them, assisting them with different techniques so that they can offer sustainable methods of farming where they don't use pesticide. So all the farms that we work with, even though they're not certified organic, they do use organic methods of farming.
Nice.
And that includes like growing pepper trees nearby or avocado trees where it will attract the pests away from the coffee trees. Yeah, and so in terms of the way they process the coffee now, there's different methods. There's the anaerobic, there's honey wash, there's the traditional method. And it's just like I said earlier, like with wine, where you could, age them in oak or, for however long, different fermenting methods. So with our beans, they really are very different. When you smell the beans, you're going to get all these different aromas. You'll get hints of like caramel, or so like one of the roasts we have has like hints of jackfruit. So it's not just like the taste, it's everything together, the aroma, the taste. And we do have 3 blends. And Vietnam is primarily known for Robusta because they are the largest producer of Robusta in the entire world. But Robusta previously, really, it was more for like ground coffee, so it wasn't high quality Robusta. But the Robusta that they're growing now that we're sourcing, it is definitely different and is definitely high quality where, you're going to be able to immediately taste the difference. And you would never use that for ground coffee. You would want to keep it as whole beans, which is why we bring the beans in as green beans, so they stay as fresh as possible as green beans, right? And then only when we're ready to produce, meaning when we're either going to run our RTDs or when we need a shipment of our whole beans, that's when we roast them. So it's roasted to order whenever we need to fulfill our production, and it's roasted locally in the Bay Area.
Nice.
So earlier you alluded to the different blends. So we have 3 blends. We have a light roast, which is the Azure, which is 65% Robusta, 35% Arabica, and then it's the Clementine we have, which is 50-50. So that is a medium roast, and then the Viridian is a dark roast. So it's 90-10. So the 90-10, that one is really strong. It's interesting though. Like Vietnamese coffee, people always ask, Oh yeah, I know it's really strong. It makes me bounce off the walls, but I don't. And they're like, oh yeah, but I don't know why. But it's really because of the Robusta, because the Robusta has twice the amount of caffeine as Arabica. So in the U.S., people are definitely a lot more familiar with Arabica, but they actually won't. You won't even really know when I like earlier. I made the latte for you. It was the white chocolate latte, and that was with the azure beans. So yeah, you would not know it was not 100% Arabica. It just has great notes, great flavors, and it complements the white chocolate really well.
It was super delicious. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I think you'd have to be a super coffee taster to even get close to knowing the difference, but it's still good. And then like you're talking about, your RTDs is something relatively new as well, ready to drink Vietnamese coffees, and that's really cool. You guys have a mocha, you guys have a classic, and you have a matcha. I think that's So those are the three, right?
Actually, we have four. So 2 are dairy based. That's the classic and the matcha, and then 2 are plant based, coconut and coconut mocha. So for the classic, we won the Sophie Award in 2021 for Best New Product in the ready-to-drink tea and coffee category. We were the first Vietnamese brand to have ever won.
Wow.
Yeah, in that category. And then in 2022, we won again for the plant-based mocha. So we won back-to-back. So we're the first to ever win in that category, back-to-back.
Awesome. Congrats.
Thanks.
Yeah, and those awards are sitting up there on the shelf here in the cafe.
Yes.
And that kind of leads us into your main menu, which is the food. And we'll let Quynh talk about that. Why don't you talk about the menu? Kind of, there's a lot, like I was looking at, how many recipes you've probably tried over the years, the last almost 13 years now. So, talk about whatever you want. Like, we can go through like your menu now, but talk about the developing and then kind of explain Vietnamese food to people if they've never had it. Give them a kind of an overview, like if you've never tried it, what should you try? And then, share your menu because it's awesome. And I've had lots of it. So
thank you. You probably know more than me.
It's easy for me, but you're the chef. So
thank you.
Tell us everything about it.
Okay. I think I have created
probably more than 300 specials over the
lost
year.
track.
Yeah.
But Vietnamese food, we have a lot of gluten-free dishes because we use a lot of rice noodles, rice and rice noodle. We have different type of noodle. We have the big thick noodle like udon, and we have medium size. When we use bún bò Huế, the spicy beef soup. I don't know if you have that.
Yeah.
The bigger one is the udon, so that's using rice. And then smaller one, we have vermicelli. So vermicelli, we have dry, and then we have a lot of different noodle soup with small vermicelli. And then we have glass noodle. We have sweet potato noodles, mung bean noodles, just like you name it. So but it's all gluten free. We don't use egg noodle that much. Egg noodle, just like a lot of our dishes influenced by Chinese food. There's a lot of, if you see egg noodle, it's like probably like Chinese.
Yeah.
Influenced Vietnamese. So.
Are there garlic noodles or egg noodles, right?
Yes. Yeah, but they're a little bit
surprisingly, there's no thicker garlic noodle in Vietnam. We created it here.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we didn't create it.
We didn't create it.
But it's here. Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah.
And we noticed, and you guys know, like it's in a lot of the crab places too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And we use a lot of herbs. Our salad, like we use. We don't have a lot of. Let's see. We use a lot of mint. The basil, coriander, so many herbs that I lost track of name. I don't even know. Lemongrass, yeah, we use lemongrass a lot in cooking. pandan for dessert, and now we cook that. I cook that in the rice with chicken broth. Banh mi, yeah, you definitely have to try banh mi. Banh mi is like when you go Vietnam, you see a lot of coffee and banh mi everywhere.
Every street
Every street.
you're on. I mean, the coffee shops are crazy. They're open till 2 a.m. or they're open around the clock, and people are out 11 p.m. The street is full of people drinking coffee.
11 p.m. The street was so packed.
Yeah.
People still on the street.
Little
with
red
red
stools.
stool out there drinking coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like it.
It's amazing. The coffee culture there is like none other.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you will find on one street it's like 20 coffee shop.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think banh mi is an easy suggestion. Everyone loves. If you love
Everyone-
sandwiches, then
Yeah, banh mi is easy. It's very convenient.
and you guys do a chicken, pork,
We
tofu.
do chicken, pork, tofu, and combo that have pork belly, pate that we make in house, ham, Vietnamese ham. That's kind of like ground pork,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
da.
ja,
The pork floss.
pot floss.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything all the sauce, all the marinade we make in house. I never use anything in can or everything is make fresh from scratch.
Yeah, and so like kind of the base menu now is you have fresh spring rolls, right? Which is kind of a staple on the menu. And then basically you kind of list everything that you have, and it's kind of like what rice do you want with it? Like what form of rice do you want with it, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's a noodle form,
Yeah.
it's actual jasmine rice. And then obviously we talked about garlic noodles
Yeah.
or a salad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have your proteins on
Yeah.
top of that. Which
So we have papaya salad.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice. Have the crunch and fresh, and it's different. I mean, not a lot of people restaurant that offer papaya salad. And then so the menu, like I would change stuff every month, I think, because I want to rotate different thing, and I want to rotate like gum tam with broken rice. That's one of my favorite dish.
Oh.
Have you
okay.
had that before?
No, I don't think so. Why don't you describe that? Monica's like shocked. Why don't you're gonna need to describe that dish. Either one of you can describe it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so the broken rice dish has actually quite a few items on there. So
You have to explain why
yeah,
it's broken
so,
rice.
okay, so it's broken rice because the kernels are very short grain.
Okay.
It's
so
broken.
yeah, because it is broken, because it's what it's the cheaper rice product that they don't sell, so they would use it themselves in Vietnam to
Okay.
eat. But
Is that kind of what gets filtered out from like the
yeah,
whole
It get
grain, so to
broken, like
speak?
it's
it's broken.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
literally.
called broken
Okay.
rice. Yeah,
And then
it's
what do you
it's
guys-
like the unwanted or discarded rice, but it's really good. I mean, I love it.
yeah.
But so the dish itself, right? So you have the broken rice, and then normally you have either the pork chop or the chicken, the grilled chicken.
Grilled chicken or grilled
Yeah.
pork.
Yeah,
But pork chop is one of the main
Classic.
classic.
yeah, and you have the pork floss.
No,
No, I'm sorry. It's not the.
it's pork skin
Oh, pork skin. Yeah, pork skin.
and pork.
The patty with the egg.
No, the pork skin and the poached pork that you slice it very thin with the pork skin, and then you marinate with and then it's covered by roasted rice powder.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But there are a lot of options. Like you
And-
can add shrimp. So it's different things that you can have with it. But it's normally about 3 or 4 different proteins
Yeah,
that you
I'll show
put
you the
into
picture.
that dish. So, and it's finished off with an egg, sunny
An
side
egg,
up egg.
or it have a egg patty, crab egg
Yeah.
loaf,
Yeah.
meatloaf.
The loaf.
Yeah,
Yeah. There are a lot of components
Yeah.
to that
And
dish.
That's
then-
really cool.
yeah. So that I think I'm gonna feature that next month for sure. I love that dish. and I'm probably gonna have pho. Of course, people gonna want that.
Yeah, definitely.
And different.
And you guys have had that on the
Yeah.
truck too.
I used to have that here too.
At the bistro and on the truck.
So far, it take a longer time to make. Normally, my pho take like 24 hours. The broth.
Yeah, the broth, right?
Yeah.
Boiling everything together.
Yep. The beef you have to have longer. It need to. You can't have shortcut. You just have to go through the whole process like ramen. I used to have ramen here. Make ramen here. It took me 2 days to make the broth.
Yeah, and I mean the flavor comes out though, big time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, so everything I wanna just we recently came back from Vietnam and there's so many dishes I wanna bring it here.
Okay.
It's gonna be a good menu.
It's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
And so like kind of the basis now with you guys is I was talking to you guys. The trucks aren't out on the street anymore, unfortunately. COVID kind of messed with that. As you know, I don't like talking about that subject, but how'd you guys deal with the pandemic? And then let's just talk about what you guys are up to now and where everything's at.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was interesting. 2019 was actually our best year. We had been doing a lot of new things. You know, having been around since 2010, the business it grew quite a bit. We started out with one food truck, then we added a second one, and then we added a boba truck, and we were the first boba truck in the Bay Area. So, and it really came out of the same thing. It was okay. We love boba. We go have boba, but we find that these boba shops are offering drinks with syrup and nothing is made fresh, and so like, oh, we'll just make our own then.
Yeah.
So we made it so good, we decided, okay, I think we can share it with people now. We know, we have all these different drinks that we think people will enjoy as much as us.
Yeah.
So it was 3 trucks, and we decided to build out our own commercial kitchen commissary. So we called it the LGC Culinary Lab, and that's where Quinn was testing a lot of new and different recipes for the food trucks as well as for events. So we had done quite a few events, corporate events, private events, pop-ups, and we also started a whole line of grab-and-go products. So we talked about this slightly earlier about where we were selling our grab-and-go, and included at Rainbow Grocery, but also we were producing and distributing all of Phil's Coffee's grab-and-go items in the Bay Area. So that was 24 of their stores.
I remember that.
Yeah, but it wasn't really Vietnamese food. That's because Quinn can cook any kind of food she has and will continue to do so. But we were making turkey sandwiches, chia parfaits, quinoa kale salads, and even fruit cups. But we did like sriracha salt fruit cups just to at least give it some Vietnamese flair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did that. And in addition, we also had these vending machines. They were smart, healthy vending machines where we had put in our banh mi's, our garlic noodles, all different kinds of salads. And we had the machines at the Aloft Hotel. We had it at this school on Mission Street. And 2019 was also the year where I don't know if you remember this, but we worked with Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Yeah, for like 3 months, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
You know everything.
Yeah, he does know. He's good at research too.
Yeah, educated guess. So, what's really cool, I read about it too.
Yep.
You guys did a 3-month stint with Monterey Bay, kind of with rock cod, right?
Yeah,
and,
local
and
fish.
using their kind of safe search, right? For fish.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? I forget what it's called.
Yeah, so it was so we were helping them raise sustainability.
Yeah.
Raise awareness about sustainability. What kind of seafood you should be eating.
Mm-hmm.
And local rockfish was definitely on the green list. So it was quite a challenge for Quinn, and she can tell you about it. But they wanted us to come up with a menu where we didn't use any kind of containers to serve the food in. So no utensils, no containers. It's just absolutely as green as possible. And it was great for us because, I mean, we're all about being green. It's also why there's green in our name. Like we've never used plastics, or we've never used styrofoam, even before it was banned.
Yeah, you guys always had the paper brown boxes. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really fun time. We love the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Really, really good people, and we love their message that they're trying to get out about saving the ocean. But yeah, so 2019, like I said, was our best year. So it was the 9th year into our business. Everything was just humming. It was crazy busy. And then we had just gotten our beer and wine license for the bistro. We had our second happy hour, and then COVID hit.
Oh.
And like everyone else, we had no idea. We were told to shut down. Of course we shut down. I mean, everyone lost, whatever they had in inventory. Everything was tossed out. But you figure, okay, we're back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks turns into 2 months, and then for our bistro, we just recently reopened, and it's been almost 3 years.
Yeah.
But it was actually an interesting time for us. So Quinn and I had been working nonstop for 9 years straight, and we took on quite a bit. Because it's hard sometimes to say no when the opportunities come along. But during COVID, we had a lot of time to reevaluate the path that we wanted to take going forward. And that's when we really, I hate to use the word pivot, but we pivoted. And we really wanted to focus on the coffee and focus on less focus on the food trucks, more focus on when we reopened the bistro, and definitely a huge focus on the coffee. The food trucks, we still love them. We'll always have food trucks, but it's just very different now. Like Quinn was saying earlier, right? How we used to go to Financial District, where Salesforce Towers, and we used to go to like Front and Vallejo, and there's just tons of places where you would go. Because you had foot traffic, people came out for lunch, but it's still not like that. You still can't, if you go to, I'm sure you've been to downtown San Francisco, where it's still more of a ghost town than anything, right? So like we told you, we don't even do any public shifts anymore.
Yeah.
In order to find our food truck, you literally have to book us for a private event, catering, party, or whatever. But we just, that model doesn't work anymore because costs, everything's gone up. I mean, in terms of not just, of course, your ingredients, but labor. Labor is it's really expensive, and then to send people out on the trucks, not knowing, how much business you're going to be doing, and potentially losing money, is just not something we think is in the cards for us right now. So it's all, if it's a prepaid event, if it's a catering, it's all booked, then okay, we know what we're doing, we know how many people we need to send, we know how much food we need to prep. Okay, we'll do that. But otherwise, it's just not something we want to continue to do.
Yeah. And that's, you still have all three?
No, so we are down to one truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we decided it was really, really hard to part with the trucks. So the first truck you ever came to was a 1987 GMC.
Okay.
It's older than most of our customers, but that truck has broken down so many times, almost killed us multiple times. But yeah, we were really sad to let it go. I've driven. So I basically have driven all of the trucks, and I've trained over 20 people to drive the trucks. And it's always funny when I step out and, I'm tiny, right? And they're like, you were the driver? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, why not? But yeah, we will definitely always still keep the truck. But like we just told you, we sold 2 of the trucks, and so we're just down to 1 truck now.
Okay. And then, and they're all private catering. Nice.
Yeah.
And then the cafe, this is newly opened just recently. This week, pretty much.
Yeah, last week was the soft reopening, and so we're doing 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for just lunch right now. Quinn's testing new breakfast recipes, so we'll be open for breakfast in about 2 weeks, and then give us a few more weeks, we'll start offering happy hour again.
Nice. And yeah, this definitely has like a restaurant vibe in here because it's big. I remember when you guys had the little bistro, which was like a little box, but you could come up and get whatever you guys were offering at that time.
Yeah.
It was like a to-go counter style. And then now you have this open space with plenty of 2 tops and 4 tops and big tables, and you have your kitchen. Bar. You got your coffee bar, which is really cool. And then everything's like laid out, and like we're here in the little lounge area, which is cool. And kind of like going forward, what do you guys want to do with this cafe? Like you said, you're going to have happy hour. Quynh, you're going to be working on different recipes and adding pho probably.
Yeah, and probably events, brunch.
Nice.
Sunday brunch.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the time this podcast comes out, which is in a couple months, few months, you guys will be rocking and rolling. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Before we close it out, I like doing a couple fun things, some fun questions. You guys already kind of talked about your partners and stuff. Are they local, like shout out businesses or friends or partners you guys want to let people know about? And it doesn't matter where it is. It can be anywhere.
Yeah. So back to a little bit about this space here. So the bistro, it's a really beautiful space. We've got floor to ceiling windows. Parking is free and it's safe. Your car is never ever going to get broken into, and you don't have to worry about the meters or street cleaning or anything. But we would like to work with fellow API and LGBTQ businesses if they're interested in doing pop-ups here. It could be all different kinds of events. If you want to showcase a new CPG product that you're launching, you want to host something here. If you want to do a collaboration with us where, let's say, you offer the food, we'll offer the coffee and the drinks. So just different things. We know what it feels like when you're starting out and you don't have your own space. And I would think it'd be great if we offer this space up for anyone that's interested in expanding. A lot of people are doing sort of these pop-ups now, right? Especially during COVID. A lot of people are trying different things. So reach out to us and we'd be happy to chat with you. And actually, if we can, we really do want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who's supported us throughout this time. It's been a very long time, and especially with people like Dave, who's just a diehard fan, and he's always reaching out to us whenever he comes to the truck or to the bistro or anywhere. He'll give us a shout out on social media.
Fix the door on the truck when it was
blowing
away.
I know it's really important for us to know things like that because sometimes we're not there. And there's just when you have a lot of different things going on, things can be missed. And when you make us aware of things like that, we definitely appreciate it. And especially also with our coffee, there's been so many local businesses that have given us the opportunity to showcase our coffee at their stores or restaurants. So like in particular, like New England Lobster, they're wonderful. They, carry our ready-to-drink coffee, and then same thing with like Rainbow Grocery.
Yeah,
we love the family over there, and Berkeley Bowl, like Luke's Local,
Sunday Bakery.
Sunday Bakery. They're amazing. Elaine and her group. And then, recently we have been talking to Telescope Coffee. There's lots of people out there that have, supported us many, many different ways. It's very difficult to start a brand. And that's what we've really evolved into. from a food truck to like a food and beverage business to a brand where now we have our whole line of Vietnamese coffee ready to drink, as well as the coffee beans. And, Quinn's had her sauces and her spice rubs and all different items out there. And she's still creating more. So, we'll still be coming out with new things and just keep ourselves, interested as well. Because, especially for Quynh, if she cooks the same thing all the time, or she just will start wanting to test new things and showcase her her talents,
The repertoire. Yeah. And Quynh, I always ask, like I was going to say earlier, like, what's your favorite gear, tool thing you like to use every day or in the kitchen? It doesn't have to be the kitchen, but sometimes it's a favorite, oven. Like, of course, like pizza guys love their oven, especially like they pick it out specifically just for them. What's something that you like to use all the time that makes your day easy?
Well, she's been playing around with the frother a lot.
Okay. There we go.
Well, when we have this bistro, we have the coffee bar, and then every day, like I will go to the coffee bar, try to create drinks, and then use that favorite thing. Go back to the kitchen, start to bake. Now I have more time. I'm gonna spend more time baking because I'm not good at it yet. So between the kitchen and the coffee, I love creating new flavor, new drinks, new dishes. But definitely that's my new tool.
Awesome.
I've been playing around with.
I enjoy talking to you guys. I appreciate all you guys are doing. I'm going to leave the floor to you. You can give advice, obviously you talked about kind of what's coming up, but anything else you guys want to mention? The floor is yours.
Yeah, actually, Oh, sorry. We will talk about pickleball in a second here. So I mentioned earlier that I didn't drink coffee for the first 10 years after we opened throughout our business. But I do now, like every single day. And it's because the coffee is really that good. Just like, it's not because I'm trying to hype this or anything, but it's really because if I can be converted after 50 years to start drinking coffee, then I know that this coffee is just absolutely delicious. So Quynh makes coffee every day. So I'm drinking coffee every day to try all her different creations and all the different, like, cold, hot, you name it, everything.
Oh, so next time you have to try 8 coffees.
Yeah, next time I'll make you 8 coffee.
Wow.
Earlier we made you the
and
white
you guys
chocolate.
already like threw a bunch at me today. I had the white chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm the secret one with the little.
The new one with the hojicha.
That had hojicha tea in it,
Yeah.
and then you guys gave me goji berry with what was in that one?
Lemongrass, pandan, and ginger.
Yeah,
it's really
herbal
healthy,
really
herbal
good.
drink.
Yeah.
And then you haven't tried the margarita drinks yet.
Oh yeah, the coffee margarita with our cold brew. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So you guys are expanding the menu, and that's really cool.
Yes. Quynh wants to jump in here about pickleball. So as you know, Quynh, she's extremely athletic. So not only is she great at table tennis, she was really, really good at tennis as well. And then she transitioned to pickleball almost 2 years ago. Both of us play pickleball.
A year-ish.
Yeah, not quite 2 years.
I finally found my sport.
Yeah, she loves it.
Yeah.
Because pickleball, it's just like very similar to tennis and ping pong. So it's very similar.
Yeah.
So we've been, practicing.
She's been playing in tournaments and winning tournaments.
And
Wow.
play national and stuff. And I just got certified a pro pickleball coach.
Yes.
So I'm teaching now too. I don't know.
She doesn't really have much time to teach, but she has her certification.
And then
we have a separate business.
And my business, my pickleball partner create this company called Pickleball and Coffee and Pickleball.
Oh.
So we do clinic. We offer clinic tournament. And then
Corporate events.
Yeah, and then come with food and drink package.
Oh,
So we done
nice.
some event for Google,
Yeah.
and clinic and stuff.
Oh, I see that growing big time.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
It's-
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the U.S.
Amazing.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. It's very inclusive. You have, someone as young as 8 years old playing, or someone as 90 years old. We know super seniors who play pickleball, and I look at them and I'm thinking, wow, if I get to that age, and when I get to that age, if I can chase after a ball, I think I'd be pretty stoked.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
easy. It's an easy sport, and anybody can play, and it's super fun. You just go out the court and put your paddle down, and then it's just very social. It's
a great. We've met probably over 100 people playing pickleball,
Awesome.
and some of them, are really good friends of ours.
I like it.
now because
I'll have to come out.
yeah, you should come and play.
And
with
and
us.
so, how do they find those events? Is there a different? Do you guys have a separate website for them?
Yeah, we do.
we have a link on our website.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
But
called-
links to a separate website,
All right.
pickleball and
Website.
coffee.
I'll put those in the show notes.
Thanks. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's,
Pickleball and coffee
Yeah.
Yes.
and Vietnamese food.
Yes.
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 That's great.
exactly.
All right. You guys good? Anything else?
Well, yeah. Of course, we want to thank
Thanks.
you
Yeah, of
for
course.
coming out today. You've
Sure.
been great. We wanted to wait until we reopened to bring you in to do the broadcast. So yeah, thank you for your patience, so that we can finally sit down with you and chat.
Of course, yeah. And I appreciate you guys being on, and everybody, thanks for listening. We're out of here. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
And as a quick reminder, the restaurants and gear talked about on each episode can be found on my website, foodoriginspodcast.com. I appreciate your support, and thanks for listening.